So getting right into it, I made this gypsy tassel. I used pieces that I had used in the book, like the burlap that I used, some of the lace that you'll see up there, pieces of fabric and ribbon. I tried to stick to those colors that she likes, the brown and the reds. And then all the beads I got from a bracelet from the dollar store. I didn't have any beads with wide enough holes in them. So I went to the dollar store, found some bracelets with some big beads and tassels and dangle things on them, and all of these beads are from that. So every single one of them that are in here are from the bracelet, including the feather. So on the front I have a picture that I downloaded that was from a vintage mask of a theater smiling, you know, the smiley sad face. Sad face is on the back, which I'll show you in a minute. This is washi tape, and I used some fabric, dressmaker's tissue, yes, there, because when I put the face on it looked too harsh and I wanted to break it up a little bit. I also have the red ribbon behind, and then this decorative ribbon here to cover that seam of the ribbon coming together there. Plus I really liked it like that. On the back is that frowny face version of the same mask. I am missing a button here, so I will be putting a blue button up here. It didn't come together the way I wanted it to. You could see the glue, so I'm going to be putting that button there to cover it. I tried to vintage this up with a stamp and some archival ink, but it looks more dirty unless you get right up on it, and you can't see it in the video. These are stamps in the same color theme, and some of them are Australian, some are, I think they're Madagascar, but I'm not quite sure. I don't really remember. And then just a little tassel at the bottom. I like that. I tried to make sure that when this was closed it wouldn't cover up the face. That's why I used the transparent silvery ribbon. It's also a ribbon that was used in here, so it would match. And then this big old awesome button that I got from Michael's. Okay, so let's go inside. I kind of got a little carried away, so I think there's about 150, 160 pages in here. All the pictures are off of the internet. I tried to get royalty free, though I suspect there's one in here that isn't, and if you recognize it, you could please tell me. I would love to give them credit, because I'm not sure that somebody would have put it on the internet as a royalty free. So I'll show it to you when we get there. This is taken from theater, so all the pictures are theater or Gemini based. So if you see a face, they're either masks or taken off of a relief somewhere. So I sewed this one on to the page as like a secret, what do you call those, tip-ins? Told you I'm new to this. This paper is just off of a generic sort of purchased from Michael's collection of papers and those big stacks. I coffee dyed all the paper. I got this idea loosely from Nik the Booksmith, where she sews several pages together, which I did later in this book. But I liked the idea of sewing on top of sewing, so I took two extra pieces and then sewed one on top of the other. And then I put this glassine bag, which I coffee dyed, has a thank you in it. And then I clipped on a picture of what looked to me like a young girl who's going off into the world, so I figured that this would be appropriate for this young lady who's starting college. I also thought maybe there'd be a point where she would rather color, so I grabbed a couple of coloring book mandala type things and put them in here. I periodically also did some stamping, so you'll see some little stamps from time to time, just little round ones that are, you know, simple, just decorative. This is also from a book. Now her aunt that commissioned this is from Texas, and she wanted to make sure that we got a little bit of Texas in there, so I did go ahead and get some Texas involved, and I printed that and then sewed it on with different stitching to the back of some coffee dyed paper. And that I got from Wendy. Wendy, I'm sorry, I don't remember your last name or your channel, but I will link you below. This is the Mount Hood Community College mascot. So again, I just put it on coffee dyed paper. I really like that idea, Wendy, of putting things on coffee dyed paper and sewing them onto the back. I just felt like that was just a really great idea. And I wanted to texturize some of it, so I wrinkled it up and sometimes just kept it straight. But There's one of those stamps. Then a writing pocket. What do you guys call that? Patty Lemon? I don't know if she invented them or not, but one of those flip-up corners. All different kinds of paper. Dictionary paper. I like the texture on that one, the way that turned out. And then I made a pocket here. This is a series of masks, which I would put on coffee dye paper. And just to be a little different, I only sewed the top of this flap so she could write underneath it or on top of it. But I kind of like the idea that it looks sort of torn and haphazard because, you know, I don't know about you, but in college I was always trying to write notes on little things, tack things on. This was paper given to me by GTDesigns when I bought her kit. This was a piece of that paper from her, as is this. She sent me this as well when I asked her for red poppy things a while back. And this just worked for this journal. It's stationery paper, linen stationery paper. Here's some of that sheet music that I was requested to put in. And I thought that was just fun. Body and Soul is just one of those fun things that, I don't know, I grew up with, or hearing kids play on the piano. This is tracing paper because parchment paper is hard to write on, but I did coffee dye it, and it has a tendency to curl, but I kind of like that, so I just flattened it out with my hands when it was still wet. Graph paper. A piece of just extra cut paper. This is an invoice. More graph paper. And here's where I thought would be a fun addition. I printed off a comic sort of drawing of her campus so that she would always have a picture of her campus in her journal if she had it with her and, you know, got turned around or something. And then I wanted to make sure it was in there a couple times. It's my planning, I guess. And on the center of the signature here, I put more of those beads from those bracelets I picked up. On the second one, I put more tags and masks from theater. This is just a piece of paper to write on. And I distressed it a little bit. It's one of my first things I've ever distressed, but it was for a different journal, and then I wound up using it here. Again, logo and the mascot. So then there's the other sides of the same pages we just went through. I'm having a little trouble holding on to this with one hand. I wanted to break it up a little bit so it wasn't exactly identical to the other side. So I just got a little stamp fun. Another series of masks, also in back of coffee dye. I put a tab here for this lift up portion, and because she was coming, you know, she's coming from high school to college, I found a children's book with some verses in it, and I just thought it would be kind of fun as a little reminder of where she's come from and how much she's grown up, to put a couple of these in there. So I've got two, but this is the first one. This is dictionary. This is a print off of a picture after the eruption of Mount Hood in the 1800s, and I thought that would be kind of neat, a little piece of history for where she's going. I'm gonna have to put this back in later because I don't think I can do it with one hand. But it's holding on with just a little piece of paper to write on with a ribbon accent that I used to hold there, along with a color consistent postcard that I found at a store, and I just thought it was super cute, so I put it in there. That's the other side of that sewing. Okay, so signature 2 begins with a picture from a children's book that I just thought was adorable. A little girl going off to school, and I felt that that was appropriate. And I put a little fabric tab on this Gemini paper that's also sewn onto coffee dye. This is from GTDesigns too. She sent me that with that packet. I liked her. That diamond plating look on there. In my stash, I happen to have a bunch of postcards that were Oregon based. So I put in these, and I have 4. So there's the river, and I just sort of lapped them so she could write on the back if she wants to. And then this one was kind of fun. I hadn't seen anyone do it before, so if it hasn't been done before, dude, I am claiming it. But I took an envelope and I folded it, a long envelope, and then I folded it, the end of it up. I opened up the flap and glued it down so it would hold in place well. But then this part of it I opened up and lined and then stuck paper so she could journal and stick things away in there. Then I also made a pocket out of it. This is somebody else's ATC. This is an actual postcard from the day, a blank postcard, but I liked it and the color worked and it was vintage. And then I made a tuck spot here with just some additional decorative sticking pieces. And then here's the side. This is also something I hadn't seen before, but I decided to do. These are masks from the theater, so I put them in here, gluing only the top and the bottom, and then I figured you could weave things in so that, in or out. This is a picture, obviously, of Mount Hood. It's a postcard that I found, and it just worked very appropriately for her, so I thought, why not? I hope I'm not making you dizzy with the camera. Here, I sewed a line down without thread. I just kind of like the way that looked, just fully pulled the thread out of that. And then in the center pocket, I made a music envelope, sort of taking a page out of Nik the Booksmith's stuff. And so it's got a tuck spot here for, this is an old Oregon ski ad. And then this is the one that I don't think, I'm not sure is royalty free, I'm not convinced. But I put it on coffee dye, sewed it on, and it's a picture, a Gemini picture, or a horoscope picture, but focusing on the Geminis. So if you recognize that, please tell me so I can give credit to the right area. I don't know whose it is. I couldn't find it anywhere online, and the picture that came up didn't lead me to anyone. So I'm putting it in there, assuming it's royalty free, but I don't trust that it is, if you know what I mean. And dancing in the dark, why not? Don't we all do that? Okay, so I lined this one with ribbon that I used earlier in the book. There's some more linen paper, more coffee dye. The second half of that invoice from the other signature. Stamping. And here are, there's more coffee. Here are the other 2 postcards I found. So there's the same river, but more peaceful. And then this one has Mount Hood on it with a city view. And I had just attached them with washi and sewed through the washi. Okay, and then this is the third signature. Again, you'll recognize this from something Nik the Booksmith does, and I really liked her idea, so I kind of borrowed it. I put a flip down tab here. This is a postcard. I liked the postcard. It looked very theatrical to me, even though it's, a shot in history. It looks like Caesar, maybe, Brutus, I'm not sure. It'll say on the back, I'm sure. But I decided to forego keeping it and give it to her. I put a little lace tab there. Some more of that coloring paper. Here is a Gemini quote, little cube of quotes. I did put it on coffee dye, but then I decided it kind of worked with this paper, so I was just going to make it a cool little tab there. paper from GTDesigns. Okay, this one, I just sewed some of this rickrack on there. It's a fold down tab too. All of them are. Here's another postcard. This is in Oregon. It's waterfalls in the beginning of a river, and I just felt like she could have that. It's appropriate for her. More dictionary paper. And I saw this. The girl is 18. She's going off to college. This is the entire chapter of this book, I'll Try. So I just thought it was very appropriate for this young lady. She's going to be going off at 18 and she's going to try. So I figured that was a good place for her. Plus, you've got a lot of room to write on if you want to. More graph paper. Got some shorthand paper, like Greg something. Here's another pocket with a bunch of Gemini pieces that have been backed. All of them have been, and they're just different designs that I got off the internet, royalty free. Paper from GTDesigns. This one is, well, it's the Gemini, and it's backed onto coffee. I also left this place open here so that something could be tucked inside if they wanted to, but it's loose from the page. I put a paper clip here, and since most of the month that holds Gemini is aquamarine as their stone, I put a little aquamarine colored bead on the end of that, and then one of the Tim Holtz pins because it was sliding around too much. My father's a pilot, and he has a bunch of these sort of maps, they're air maps for pilots, and I put that in there too. So I just like the way that looked. Another theater thing with a tip in, tip up, tip out, I don't know, whatever, something one of those. Oh, I forgot to show you more beads on the center. Where's the other one? These hang lower so you can see them out the bottom of the book, and I just really like that. I didn't want them identical either. Here's another mask. This one kind of scared me, but I put a little tab on the side and backed it into coffee dye. Here's another one of those pieces from the child book, Foreign Lands, and then Pirate Story. This one's mostly cut off, but it does read. You can, none of the words are actually cut, but another flip out. I tried to do a lot of sewing here. Gemini symbol backed. This is also open on one side. Tab here. Glassine bag with a little envelope. Another backed series of masks. The other half of the I'll Try paper. And to give it some form, I put it on the back of the dictionary, which I just turned into a triangle to give it some strength. This is another one of those pieces of paper. I only did the top, and I just sort of stuck it on the page so that it's coming off the top here. But it does have a back to it, so it can be written on both sides. And this is also a piece of Gemini ephemera that's been backed. Gemini ephemera. This is a railroad ticket. You can write on that. And I thought that was just fun. She's going places, you know. There's ribbon down here. And then the last page is a Gemini with a Gemini pendant thing there, and the final page of that signature. So that's it, guys. That's the journal that I just finished, about 150, 160 pages. Thank you for watching. If you like this, please thumbs up, share. I'm happy to do that, and I'll keep posting as I have them come up. I hope you like this. Bye.